He dead. What was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere! But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
I got it! It could only have been Hifumi.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked?
Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository. But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means, when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
Fuck this.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
Shoot!
I know it's the paper. I know it's the paper. I know it's the paper.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now. Take a look at what the note says.
Say it again. Okay.
That's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
See, then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro. And that person could only have been... I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Hello! Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Happy!
Just to be clear, Tick-Tock is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
Ugh, yes! Why must you ruin it every time? Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
No, it's wrong! No! There absolutely is a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka, just the same as me. The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster, telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka, what was Hifumi doing with it?
Down his pants, no less!
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
He stole it?
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
Shoot!
I don't fucking know. I'm very irritated right now. This? I don't know. I legit don't know. Proof that he stole it? Oh, the piece of... This.
I got it!
But
When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
You stupid fat bitch.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure. In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive!
In fact,
Sorry,
you're high.
No.
Why you just bugging?
When we found him in the repository, Hifumi was truly and completely dead. The second body discovery announcement proves that.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
Whoever did is the mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together.
Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus!
Who are you calling a walrus?
I ain't gonna hit her though.
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
He's right, though. I don't understand it
washed
either.
off, the cleaned off hammer.
The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments. But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
Of course you don't. I would think
So
your
which
answer
hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then...
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
No, it's possible.
I don't think it is possible. They were both killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then, what was used to kill Hifumi?
It's that cleaned off hammer. Yeah, it is.
What was used to kill Hifumi? Was it Justice Hammer 3? Maybe Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
Well, one thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers!
No, it's wrong! The murder weapon wasn't a Justice Hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
But, seriously? A different weapon?
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Huh?
And the reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the hammer got covered in Hifumi's blood, of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
Whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him.
Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the
And everything we're
graduation
saying, she's
rule
pushing
works,
back on
there is no
way too
benefit to
much.
helping someone else carry out a murder.
That's just deflecting like crazy.
So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
I'm not fucking ludicrous. Your ass did it. You keep pushing back on shit.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that have been laid out, even if more than one, only the one who actually carried out the act, assuming the rule holds true.
It is simply impossible that two people... Shoot!
Firing two people committed the murder.
Based on the rules that even if more than one, only the one who actually, assuming the rule holds true.
That is.
But that only really applies if there's one. In this case, however, there were two murders.
Based on the rules that even if more than one person, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate, assuming the rule holds true.
Shut up. No, I'm sorry, it's a left, bro. It's a left. She's pushing way too hard for one. Every time we get closer, she's steering the conversation to another direction.
It's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
Right.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka. They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful. How could anyone be so cruel?
I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
understand how an accomplice could be involved. But then, who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
I'm picking Celeste. I'm telling you, I'm picking Celeste. I think it's her. The true killer manipulated from to carry out a number of actions and then murdering him. And the base up to now, the wedding case. When you consider all of that, there's only one person. Yep. Yep, here we go. Get this bitch out of here, you.
Here's my answer.
Get her out of here.
It was Celeste.
Ah, so I'm the suspicious individual now, am I?
Yep.
I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is.
Yes, that's so.
Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
Shoot! I got it! The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Who the fuck you talking to? I know Makoto probably ain't gonna do nothing, but if this was me, I'd have got up and beat his ass, because he can't fight. All he do is run his mouth and he got power. Bro, like, bro.
Sorry.
My
As
point
he
is
said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
I'm gonna get fucking clapped, I really do.
Everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct?
How your death gonna be.
And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Stupid ass, fucking punk ass motherfucker.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said? Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up. Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on.
That's
That
just
was
so
to signal
fake.
Hifumi, wasn't it?
Fake ass bird call like he having a fake ass orgasm.
It was your way of telling him, we're on the third floor. Everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
That scream was that loud? That shit sounded fake. Like a fucking bird cry.
I just realized another strange thing.
Tell me shut up again, I swear to
When we
God.
found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead, Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it. Everything. The whole thing was
Let's
one
hear a
big
weak ass
act.
rebuttal.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kind of sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom. Wait! Then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
Nah, she's playing this stuff.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but... looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed, so Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
All I said was...
They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was... They must really be enjoying the sight of us standing around. They must be positive.
We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys
Oh, I
died.
see.
And that is all I
It's
said.
And
strange
that's all it
thing.
takes to finish this. What was so strange about Celeste's comment?
I see it. I see it.
All I said... They must really enjoying the sight of us. They must be... We are all going to...
We are going to die. Just
Fuck her up.
No, it's wrong!
So who was those guys before Hifumi's body was discovered? You didn't realize Taka was dead until later on.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died.
Mm-hmm.
When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Told you, man, I do this shit, bro. Now look at her.
Exactly.
Dumbass.
And we didn't run into her until
Fuck you,
after we
Victoria.
were all out in the hall.
Fucking watch
So
you
there
guys
was
slow
never any
motherfucker.
chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
Now be quiet.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Keep denying it. I got more proof to you. Keep on denying
You
it.
claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right?
It's gotta be.
So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that
Maybe
suit.
it was nobody inside the suit. Maybe it looked like somebody was in
I
there.
happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words, it is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away.
I don't think no one was in there because
If
only what's the
everything
name
I
was in
told you
there.
was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Nice try, bitch. I got it.
Simple.
Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
Exactly. I got you.
What could you possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
Right.
No, there is no other
Of course you
explanation.
gonna say no, because you about to be courted, bitch. I don't think no one was in there. Start dancing. What? Cover this one.
I got it! It's not a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit.
Oh, I thought no. It was, oh yeah, because what's name was in
We've
there.
simply been led to believe that it's
He was
the other way
unconscious in
around.
there.
And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
It's Celeste, bro. I'm not saying none of this shit she's saying, and we still doing this. Okay.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing... perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
Now, come on.
No.
Come on.
Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that. Because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Celeste and Hifumi took
That
the
was a new
suit they'd
face.
specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate?
No, she's gonna say something else. She about to snap.
Don't make me laugh, you idiot! What do you mean, checkmate? Celeste? Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying? When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
But my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
He did say Yasuhiro, but are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Don't burn me, bitch.
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think
Okay,
back
that's
to
correct.
how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
I got it!
Yes, okay.
That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental.
see it was
By
just-
chance, his first name. Indecent.
Yeah, shut up.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No, there's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't
Wait, what is
apply to
Celeste's
anyone
last name?
here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one
God, I
person
forgot this
it
bitch
could
last name.
apply
What's her
to,
last name?
and that's Celeste.
Yeah.
She never actually told us what her real name is.
What did you just say? To think you take your false accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit! Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather! Yasuhiro is a loser's name! Do I look like a loser to you?
Yeah.
Do I?
Yeah.
I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in.
What the fuck's your
What's
name,
your
bitch?
real name?
Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
This bitch funny when she snapping.
Hifumi.
Hold on, Spottless Hammer. I don't think it's this. It's this note. I think it's gotta be her. It's her account, right? Wait, what is it again?
He was trying to tell us something.
Oh, the handbook, the handbook, the handbook. No, I gotta find some. It's not the.
He wanted us to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
How many times do I have to tell you? My name is...
Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron!
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might...
It would have to be you, Celeste. You
How many times do I have to tell... My name...
Celestia Ludenberg, god...
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's... And since you have no way to contradict me... Shoot!
Hifumi was trying to tell us something.
He wanted us to know the killer. If there's one person here...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times? Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan to go on?
I'm not pretending. And since you have no way to contradict me, that's the only truth there is! Moron!
Hifumi was trying to... He wanted us to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times? Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan to go?
I'm not pretending. And since you have... That's the only truth
I think
there
it's
is!
when she says no way to contradict me. I think it's the L right there.
Hifumi was trying
try
to... He
doing
wanted
this
us
one.
to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
Okay. Fuck.
Shoot!
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name. Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here...
It would have to be you, Celeste.
How many times? Celestia Ludenberg!
How long do you plan to...
I'm not pretending. And since you have no way... No, it's wrong!
I knew it was that because the X is with the letters, and that's gotta be that one right there.
That's it! The handbook!
What?
Anytime you
So she
turn
was
your
big.
handbook on, it shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before. So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything. That's how we can find out Celeste's real name.
That's an invasion of privacy. I refuse to cooperate.
Team
Celeste,
Makoto like, bitch.
can you please just tell us what really happened? Please, just tell us.
I ain't begging you. You might as well just tell
Even
me.
when I'm put in check, it's just my nature not to give up. Because...
Here we go.
Until the game's over, you never know what might happen.
Okay.
Fine
alright.
then. Let me settle it.
Let me put you
Let
down.
me go over the case again, from the beginning, and shed light on all your crimes. And that'll bring everything to an end.
Yep. This is harder on here than... I don't know. hold on, hold up. So I'm gonna get my phone and look this up real quick. I'm gonna shot that right. Oh yeah, I just want to shot it better, right? I'm on a time schedule today, so I can't afford to be too much time on this part.
exactly what happened. Before anything, the killer persuaded someone to help carry out the murder. And that person was... Hifumi. With an accomplice, the killer was able to execute a number of otherwise impossible schemes. First, they convinced someone to meet them in the rec room last night at 1 in the morning. That someone they met with was Hiro. The murderous duo intended to pass Hiro off as the prime suspect. So when they met up with him, they drugged him, knocked him out, and stuffed him into the Robo-Justice suit. Next, Hifumi positioned himself to make it look like Robo-Justice was attacking him, while the killer used a digital camera to take pictures of the assault. They did all this just to create evidence that would put the suspicion on Hiro. When they were done with him, they shoved him, still unconscious, into the pool room locker. And then finally, at 6 a.m., they moved into the murder phase of their plan. They called Taka to the equipment room. And that's where Hifumi killed him, making it the scene of the first murder. The murder weapon was Justice Hammer 4, which was left there in the equipment room. The reason Hammer number 4 was used was to create confusion about the order of the crimes. So, next they falsified 2 more assault incidents. For these attacks, the killers pretended to be the victims, to solidify Robo-Justice as the suspect. The first fake incident was the attack in the rec room. There, the killers wanted us to see Justice Hammer 1, and the Robo-Justice pictures they'd taken. They wanted to make sure we bought the surprise attack story. The second fake incident was the attack in the library. This time, they planted Justice Hammer 2, and an injured Hifumi, to sell us that story. With these 2 incidents, the killers were able to create a certain preconception in our minds. That the suspect was increasing the size of the hammers and attacking people in order as they did. We fell right into their trap and started looking for the suspect based on that.
I'm gonna get dressed. I'll be right back.
While we did that, we left Hifumi alone in the nurse's office. This was exactly what Hifumi was hoping for. He took a blood packet from the refrigerator and Justice Hammer 3 and turned the room into a crime scene in which he himself had apparently been brutally murdered. He let out a scream to draw us back, and when we returned, that's what we found. Meanwhile, the other group that had been out searching found Taka's body at the same time. So when we heard the body discovery announcement, we naturally assumed it was for Hifumi. We left the nurse's office, and Hifumi once again took advantage of the situation. He simply got up and made his escape. When we learned his body had disappeared, we all rushed back to the nurse's office. And once again, Hifumi had the chance he was waiting for. This time, he snuck into the equipment room. He wrapped Taka's body in a tarp and used the dolly to move it all the way down to the repository. That explains how each of the bodies disappeared. But even Hifumi didn't know what the true killer had in mind for their final act. Their plan all along was to kill Hifumi and get rid of the one person who could betray them. And they did it using an ordinary, everyday hammer from the repository. That should cover everything that happened in this case. And the villain behind it all is... Celeste! Sorry, you lose.
Lost? I lost? When was the last time I was forced to utter such words? They hang heavy around my neck.
Then you admit it? You're the killer?
Listen to you, trying to take charge, as if you're my private instructor. I, Celestia Ludenberg. Actually, no, Taiko Yasuhiro is fine.
Taiko?
So, you finally accepted it.
I'm the kind of person, once I've lost, I don't like things to drag on.
You're talking different than everything.
Interesting.
Well, that concludes. I probably got... I know I felt a few times. Got the A's though. Hey, let's get it.
Okay, Monokuma. I'm ready to begin. Or, no. I suppose this is the end, isn't it?
It is indeed the moment we've all been waiting for. Time to vote, okay? Okay.
Taiko, Celeste,
if
you
you
need-
would, please locate your lever and cast your vote. And when the votes are tallied, who will become the blackened? Will you make the right choice or the dreadfully wrong one? What's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
So that whole act that she did was just fake. She's just a fake person. Alright. It's basically a formality at this point, but once again, you're totally correct. The blackened this time, the true killer who deceived the whole stinking scheme was Celeste Lindenberg, or more specifically, Taiko Yashihara.
Honestly.
I lost. Well, that sucks. I guess trying to work with someone else was a mistake after all. The Fumi intervention was beyond all my calculations.
I knew it.
So you really did approach Fumi with this plan. But how did you get him to agree? I can't imagine he would have happily agreed to commit murder. I'm sure she railed on her line, her specialty, lying. My specialty? Don't make me laugh. I didn't have to lie to get him to agree.
So then...
Then did you use, you know... I knew you figured it out, Kyoko. You're absolutely right. To get a Fumi to act as my accomplice, I used her. For everyone who's still left, I've already mentioned it by name, but it was the one thing Fumi and Taiko were both super. Oh, the alter ego. Does she mean? Is she talking about alter ego?
Say what?
What? What? What are you talking about?
Just a second.
Don't interrupt. We're in the middle of a very important conversation here. I'm totally out of the loop as usual. How sad.
In other words...
Then you're the one that stole it.
Indeed.
That's right.
I see.
And you used it to drag Fumi into the plan you came up with. Right again. Last night after we had our meeting about how they disappeared, I paid Fumi a little visit. That's her room? Oh, that's Fumi's room. Oh, what are you doing here?
Actually...
I was hoping I could talk to you alone. It is about what was stolen. I know who did it.
What? Are you okay with
It
this?
was Taka. He stole it.
So then...
And I have proof. Would you like to see it? As it turned out, I found a used for the digital camera. I I think you know what to Taka's room earlier. It's okay.
Damnation!
God, so it was him. But how did he do it? She was supposed to yell if either one of us got close to her. You are correct, which is why Taka forced me to stay.
Say what?
As for me...
Please forgive him. He threatened me.
Oh.
He did?
As for me...
He came to my room last night unannounced, and then it's hard for me to even say. He beat... Wow. Stupid, lying, conniving bitch!
What?
I hate that sound. It's like you constipated. And he took pictures. He said if I did not do as he asked, he would show them to everyone. So I had no choice.
Damnation!
That's a crime, absolute crime. I mean, he's gone a little crazy, like... Wow. It was amazing how complete he brought it. I can't express how enjoyable that was.
Unforgivable.
I'm going to kill him! I'm going to fucking kill him!
Most unfortunate.
Wait, please, if you go now, you will be playing right into his hands. Huh?
Actually...
What?
On it.
I swear I will save her!
Actually...
Then, would you like to join me? It so happens I have come up with a plan. I haven't deceived the world. Hifumi agreed without a second thought. The effort that item had on him was remarkable. The power of love, even in love as twisted as that, can still drive people mad, it would seem. You disgust me.
I see.
I have another question for you. Was that strange costume Hifumi's creation?
Indeed.
Yeah, it was a real pain in the butt, too. All I asked him to do was make something to hide the face and Okay.
But...
So, why did you decide to make me the suspect? Because you're stupid. That's it?
Let's see...
In that regard, I made the right choice, so I'm glad we surpassed my... Okay. I feel like I could cry. But when you were explaining your plan of Fumi, how did you explain that part about him playing dead? Well, what she's asking is, what was Fumi supposed to do after that, assuming you had already let him live?
Are you okay with
That's
this?
simple. After he did his part and pretended to be dead, once someone showed up, I told him to say he'd been seriously wounded. He was on the verge of death, but he just barely held on. And he really believed that? Well, of course, that wasn't all that was. His story was all explained. It all seems very straightforward. Okay.
So in the end...
So you had a plan to kill him all along. But of course, there would have been no point in my plan that wanted him to be done out and did himself. How can a human life mean so little to you?
Well...
That's a non-issue. I'm simply everything in my power to
Don't be mean!
Now you sound like peculiar.
I wonder about
No,
that.
he deserved his pleasure from the thrill of the hunt, and that adds real nothing on life.
Why?
Then what made you take things that far? Was it really just for money? Are you talking about the $10 million Monokuma offered? That is a lot of money, it's true. But that's not all there is to it. From that moment on, new life has begun. My only thought has been escape. But all along, you've been saying how we would have...
You little bitch!
Obviously, that was a lie.
Hey!
I couldn't take it. I hated it from day one. More than anyone else in here.
You little bitch!
I wanted to get out of here. Every day was fresh torture. And do you want to know why, huh?
This is fine.
Because I had a dream. Oh, she's fucking psychotic. Accepting life here would have meant nothing less than giving up my
Honestly.
forever.
As for me... Isn't it wonderful?
To live in Europe, to live in a European castle. A castle. And to gather handsome men from all over the world to serve as my brother's slaves slash bodyguards. Once I attained that was creative.
This is fine.
Living a life, the rest of my life was only my dream, my only dream. Combined with my own winning, Monokuma's $10 million would have made that dream a reality. My God.
There is nothing to be done.
Fortunately, my dream has been scattered to the world, so I don't have any regrets.
Just the worst.
It's not so passionate, but you were really able to kill your own friends for it. You asking me to feel guilty? That is a pointless endeavor. I think nothing of sacrifice from others from my own, and I feel nothing.
Do you understand?
That's all there is to me. That's what makes me complete. Let me tell you how different our values are. There's simply no room for understanding.
What is this?
That what we should be saying, and plus, How can you be so calm? Don't you realize you're about to die? Why are you scared? My ability to live it unravel and I took pride in that. It's not just any.
Yes, indeed.
I don't fear death. Kill me however you like. But you know, if I could be reincarnated, if I had a choice to,
Isn't it wonderful?
I think I would like to come back as Maria and Antoinette.
Hey!
You just get executed again. Just smiled at it. Then when she did, it looked to me like a poor effort to force it. She claimed she could fool her own emotions, but that stay itself must have been her final lie. And that weak fake smiles will betray you. You're all done, okay? Let's get rolling. The black and discovered the piece and made.
Now then, I prepared a very special punishment.
Let's see how she died.
Let's give it everything we've got. It's punishment time.
I guess I'll let Kyoko hold on to this. What?
This is.
Will it really give you the hope you're looking for? I can't say I ever saw it that way. Which is why... Actually, it's not important. Well then, take care, everyone. Perhaps we'll meet again. In another life.
You just drag people, that's just funny. They're gonna burn her alive? They're burning. Oh, they is like how they did back in the day. Wow, we're gonna run a truck until watch this burn us. A lot of cool blade shit, man. Gonna burn out a lot to run over a fucking fire truck. Yeah, she's dead. R.I.P. in peace. It's over. The third execution is over. Celeste's death is over. Celeste killed my friend, so I can't pity her, but I also can't deny that at one point I considered her a friend. And for him to just come along and... Isn't it just awful? Someone couldn't cut free from their regrets from the outside world, and so more people had to die. You guys are still young. You need to place more value in your lives.
What are you gonna do?
Jeez, and here I thought you guys were gonna pass the torch of hope to the next generation.
Let me out of here!
What do I care about hope? I'll throw it in the trash if it just let me out of here.
Too bad.
You're all the embodiment for hope, whether you like it or not. And it's my destiny to knock you down one by one. It's sad, yes it is, but that's reality, just can't be avoided. Don't talk like you're not responsible. How long are you gonna make us keep going through this? What do you want from us? God, I'm so sick of people asking me that. Give it a rest already. So anyway, Kyoko, did I see you get some kind of key type object from Celeste?
Hey!
So what's the deal with that?
What?
Huh? What's the matter?
So then...
I'll answer you a question if you answer mine. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do to me?
Ooh.
What?
Hey.
Answer me. What did you do to my... Huh?
Ooh. How exciting.
Oh man, oh gee. Oh man, oh gee. What do you mean? What did I do? I have no idea. I don't know anything about it. What was that just now? The mastermind did something to Kyoko's body? What does that mean?
Hello.
Okay, things are getting kind of awkward. I think it's about time I got out of here.
Well?
Meanwhile, you guys can go enjoy your school life. If you get lonely, give me a shout. Not that I'll do anything about it, of course.
See ya later!
See you later! Hey, Kyoko, Mukumu already mentioned it, but was that key that Celeste gave you? Most likely. It's the key to one of the dressing room's lockers.
Huh?
What? Then that means Celeste probably hid it in there.
Hey,
I suppose sometimes it's easy to miss what's right beneath your nose. Well, then we better go check.
Indeed.
Good idea.
Hey,
I'm going to go on alone from here. Everyone else is at dinner hall. I'll check in with you later.
What?
What exactly are you going? Where exactly are you going alone?
so...
Do you even have to ask?
Come on.
That's not what I meant. Why you? There's still the rest of the spy, you know. Then I'll go to
What?
you. Yep. Standing here arguing is just to draw more attention to
Goodbye.
us. Do whatever you want.
well then.
Yo!
Okay.
Shall we go? So then...
Alright, I gotta go. So that's the third class. Try to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next stream. I gotta go because sometimes they drag this shit on.